Hi kids, Brother Charles here from Reviewers Revival. Thanks for joining me. Up today on the Reviewers Bench, we're going to be taking a good careful look at the new FC-70, a Fairchild 670 compressor emulation that's recently been released by OverTone DSP from London, England. For comparative purposes, I will be heading it up against a perennial T-Rack CS Vintage Compressor 670. All of this testing is taking place in the lovely Mixcraft Pro Studio 6.1 DAW, one of my very favorites. I love the folks over there at Acoustica, and they've accorded me a license of the Pro Studio 6.1. I had been a user of the standard version of Mixcraft for quite some time, so you can look forward to a review of that in the not too distant future. Also, major kudos and shout out to the good folks over at TechSmith who have made it possible for me to bring this video presentation to you via Camtasia Studio 8. I really like this screen capture and video capture software. Alrighty, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the FC-70. As you can see, it has most nearly everything that one would expect from a virtual emulation of a classic Fairchild 670 compressor. Out of the gate, I have matched the settings most nearly identically. Let me just set these back to defaults that I had done previously, and we'll take a listen head-to-head of the FC-70 against the T-Rack CS Vintage Compressor 670. The first thing we should do is take a listen to this drum track that I put into Mixcraft using Easy Drummer in multi-out mode. And by the way, let me show you this real quick, just in case you haven't taken a look already at the SK Note Mattertone review that I wrote a few weeks ago, a few weeks prior to this video. SK Note's Mattertone is a really nice multi-band transient shaper, and for only $20 US you can't go wrong with this transient shaper. So I have it instantiated on the kick, snare, and hi-hat channels. Alrighty folks, let's take a little listen now to Easy Drummer's drum track that I have put into Mixcraft here without any compression applied to it. Okay, that's a nice sounding drum track all on its own, but the first one I would like for us to take a listen to after processing is the drum track being put through the T-Rack CS Vintage 670 compressor. So as you can see, it's really easy to activate a plugin here within Mixcraft. I'm keeping both plugins up on the screen. Let's take a look, make sure that our compression ratio is, oh, there, better change that back, set identically 2.3. Our time constant is set to 1. Both plugins are set to left/right, and automatic gain correction is all that we have to rely on for output volume in the FC-70, whereas in the T-Rack's Vintage Compressor 670 there is an output volume measured in decibels. I have that set to 4 dB. Without further ado, let's start our listening engines, gentlemen. Okay, so we hear that classic rich smack of the Fairchild 670 compressor, very famous vintage compressor that we heard on a lot of recordings, especially those coming out of the UK back around 67, 8, 9 into the early 70s. Something that I really notice about the IK Multimedia Vintage Compressor 670 is that along with that smack, you get a great deal of warmth. You'll notice it on the kick and low frequencies of the snare drum. You get that nice thick whack. Sometimes I like that. Other times I wish that it still retained the transients and that it still retained some nice high-end sheen. So let's bring to the forefront OverTone DSP's FC-70. Again, all levels and settings have been matched. Let's take a listen to this one. The first thing that I notice about the FC-70 is that although it retains that wonderful whack, that thud, that thwack, that smack in the face that we come to expect from an emulation of a Fairchild 670, it is also retaining the high-end crisp response. And I like that. I really do. I find it gives the music a lot more breathing room and life. So, next thing I'd like for us to take a listen to is switching between these two compressors, and let's directly compare them. Beginning with T-Rex. Again, I hear more vibrancy coming from the FC-70. I really appreciate the classic warmth. I do appreciate that greatly revered sound of the Fairchild 670 that is inherently heard within the T-Rex CS Vintage Compressor 670. I like that the FC-70 by OverTone retains that quality and yet still offers a nice, clear, pristine high end. In demos that I've seen, video demos that I've seen of the UAD 670 emulation, it also retains a nice crisp high end. That's something to keep in mind, kids. $140 as compared to 25 global British pounds. You may want to strongly consider the FC-70 if you're looking for a Fairchild 670 compressor. Now, something else that I'd also like to do today is change in real time some of the parameters, and let's take a listen to what this compressor can do in real time. Okay, let's drive it a little harder now. Get some real serious whack going here. Absolutely huge amounts of smack. Take our ratio up into limiter territory. Huge amounts of squash. But we still keep that high end. That's what I'm really liking about this plugin. We keep that transient response coming through, and we keep detail and definition in the drum track. I'm sold. I'm sold. 25 global British pounds. FC-70 by OverTone.